And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
It was evident, based on the testimonies given by former Republican senators and administration officials and cabinet staff members, that there were no John Kennedys in the room on the night of the hearing for Bill 4. They all acted as if they owned government of Guam. What I didn't hear in their testimonies was a sense of duty. What I did hear is a sense of entitlement. They talked about how difficult their jobs were, how they deserved to be paid more. They all used, just about everybody used, a variation of the phrase, pay peanuts, get monkeys. And that phrase upset me because what it did was demean all the people who volunteered to serve our people out of a sense of duty. The hundreds of people who sit on boards and commissions, parent-teachers conferences, work for nonprofit organizations out of a sense of duty. As I listened to them talk, I realized they had lost their sense of duty somewhere along the way and were now feeling a sense of entitlement. They are owed. That is a big difference than serving out of a sense of duty. And with that in mind, with their attitudes, what do we say to the people who serve our island out of a sense of duty? What do we say to the young men and women who join the forces, the armed forces of our country, to defend our island, our nation, and our way of life, knowing there's a good chance they may not return from a rotation? What do we say to them about their sense of duty? What do we say to a waterline worker who's up to his waist in cold, muddy water trying to repair a main line water break so that when you get home tonight, you'll have running water so that you can take care of your family? What do we say to a nurse who's pulling a double shift at Guam Memorial Hospital because there's a shortage of nurses, but her sense of duty drives her to make sure her patients are safe and protected and well taken care of and their needs are met? What do we say to a young woman about her sense of duty when she puts herself through college and rather than go into private enterprise to make money, she goes into teaching to make a difference, helping educate the future leaders of Guam? I think what our current crop of elected officials and cabinet members need is a wake-up call.
It's from after the election. All of a sudden, it was in the newspaper that you guys got a raise. He did, and so did the vice governor. Everybody was saying, wow, they did it again. And what does that mean to you? It was done underhanded. Everybody wants a raise. Even me as a retiree still look forward to my 0.02%. And that's what? Maybe $4. But I look forward for $4. And I'm pretty sure you look forward for the thousands. That would make a difference in anybody's life. But it's the people's trust that we're here for. It's not because we're batting for the governor or the lieutenant governor or even for you. We're asking you to do the right thing. That's why you volunteered to go out there and get our votes. That's why we voted you, because you have a leadership style that people thought was good and that you will do them some good. But what happened?
Now it's time for a reality check for those former senators and current cabinet officials. The people own government of Guam, not you. We hired you to manage it for us with our votes. And Even the governor recognizes that as a result of the 2016 general elections, when 7 new senators were voted into the 34th Guam legislature. 7 new senators with the highest voter turnout in Guam history. But unfortunately, when it comes to Bill 4 and rolling back the pay raises, not all the senators are on board. There's a group of 6 senators that feel they are entitled to be the second highest paid senators in the entire United States. And they have indicated through their actions and words that they are going to fight to keep that high pay. So, here's some economics for senators. Your salary comes from government funds. Government funds come from taxes. And it is people and businesses that pay those taxes, that pay your salary. So when we look at the situation here on Guam, we know our governor makes more compensation, has a bigger compensation package than the governors of 21 other states and jurisdictions. And our senators make more money than the senators in 48 other states. But this is where the argument falls apart, because remember, economics, taxes, population. Guam has the smallest tax base. We have a population of 160,000. Let's compare that to Colorado with a population of 5.5 million. The reason I'm comparing Guam to Colorado is if this pay raise rollback goes through, our governor will be paid the same money as the governor of Colorado. But here's where the difference really shines. Look at the economics. Guam has a $4 billion economy. Colorado has a $318 billion economy. So Colorado can easily afford to pay their governor $90,000. We can't afford to pay our governor $130,000. But another phrase that popped up in that hearing and in testimony and in letters to the editor and comments on the radio is the salary increases for the governor, the administration, the governor and the senators are just a drop in the bucket, $47,000 a month. I was very surprised when I heard the chief of police say that he would rather have the pay raises for the governor and the senators remain in place than have an additional 20 officers on the street to protect our people. It's clear to me that he may have lost his sense of duty. The reality is, government in Guam is like a house on fire, where about somewhere between $120 and $180 million in an operating deficit. Almost every department of government in Guam is behind on paying their bills. We even had to borrow $6 million from the Child Support Trust Fund to pay payroll last year. Department of Education had a couple of scares. They almost had a couple of payless paydays. But they were able to make it at the last minute, although a couple of times I believe they were even late. This house is burning fast, and we need every drop in that bucket. And that drop in the bucket that the administration officials and certain senators and former senators throw so casually out, that drop in the bucket is the hard-earned taxes of people like you and me who work hard and pay our taxes. And from those taxes, those salaries are paid. So $600,000 is maybe a drop in the bucket to those former senators and some members in the cabinet and current other senators, but it's blood, sweat, and tears to the people of Guam. And if we don't get our burning house under control soon, we could follow Puerto Rico and have a federal management control team appointed to supervise our financial operations. And we could be having to make the same hard decisions that Puerto Rico is having to make right now. So here are the senators who still believe they are worth $85,000 a year, who still believe they deserve to be the second highest paid senators in the United States. Starting with Tommy Morrison. I've talked with him recently. He still believes that he and the rest of the senators should be paid $85,000 and the governor should be paid $130,000. Dennis Rodriguez has been fighting since the 32nd legislature to keep his pay raise and believes that he is worth $85,000 a year. Now, Will Castro comes from Adeline, so I don't expect anything other than total support for the governor keeping his pay raise and Will keeping his. Luis Muñoz also came to the legislature from Adeline, so I don't expect her to do anything but follow the directions from the governor. The biggest surprise for me this election, though, was Fernando Estevez, because I met with him before the campaign, I met with him during the campaign, and I met with him after the election, and right up until recently, he was for rolling back the pay raises. But when I talked with him last week, he was not for rolling back the pay raises unless we rolled back the raises for the governor, lieutenant governor, and all the judges and the court personnel. So he's trying to create a variation of the circus. The real big surprise for me was Tom Atta. Tom Atta supported every effort to roll back the pay raises in the 33rd legislature. So I was expecting him to be one of the strongest supporters for rolling back the pay raises in the 34th. But I've been informed by him that he is not in favor of rolling back the pay raises under Bill 4 unless it is part of a comprehensive operating expense reduction across the board. So he's not in favor of rolling back the pay raises for the governor, lieutenant governor, and the senators until we roll back the raise of operating expenses across the board. I don't see that happening, but I'm looking forward to seeing the bill that Tom Atta introduces that mandates a rollback on government budgets to the 2014 level. But until then, I have to admit, I was totally surprised by his refusal to support Bill 4. As voters, we turned out in record numbers. We had the highest voter turnout in the nation at 70%. And as citizens who put you all in office, we hope that you will do the right thing. But we fear your own sense of entitlement will win out in the end and that you're going to vote to keep your pay raises. But as the true owners of Guam, it is up to us to let our elected leaders know the time has come for them to do the right thing. So, I'm encouraging everybody to send a letter to one of these 6 senators, Tom Atta, Dennis Rodriguez, Fernando Estevez, Will Castro, Luis Muñoz, and Tommy Morrison. You can get their addresses on the legislature website main page for their email. And tell them, send them a message.
We're asking you to do the right thing.
After all, we are the people who own the government, and it is up to us to give the managers we hired with our votes direction.